because I was so against dogs fighting each other. And someone looked at me really crazy. They're like, "You're a professional fighter. How could you be against dogs fighting each other?" I'm like, "Yo, stupid. I chose to walk inside the cage.
I mean, gee.
You put pit dogs against each other, you're just falling upon their natural instincts. If they were intelligent enough to know what was going on, I don't think they'd be betting that they want to, fight to the death, and then the winner, if he's maimed too bad, gets shot in the back of the head. There's a big difference between me and a dog fight, man.
They just basically want to be fed and have somebody rub their stomach. They don't want to fight.
I have 3 dogs in my house. Trust me. They get in fights every once in a while. Yeah, but come on. They would rather go ahead and be eating on the top of my table, scraps, than fighting each other.
So the gym in Vegas,
Striking Unlimited?
Right, Striking Unlimited. It's been open how long? And it's open to everyone? Is it kind of multi-purpose gym?
Yeah, no, I mean, we have a lot of guys that are amateur fighters and a few professional fighters are there, but I mean, 80%, 90% of the people that are in there just aspire to train and be better martial artists. So that's the thing I try to tell everybody. It's like playing baseball. If you only play baseball because you want to win the Cy Young Award and you want to be the best pitcher ever, why bother? You know what I mean? Because there's only a small percentage of individuals that already have the natural talent and abilities to go up to that level, plus a little bit of luck on your side to ever aspire to that realm.
Right.
But if you just want to be a better martial artist, I mean, let's just face it. Some guys, when I first started fighting, I'm 6'3", 260 pounds. If I never learned how to fight a day in my life, I'd probably still be a pretty dangerous person. I've been a good athlete my whole life. I've won state titles in wrestling, I track and field. I was athlete of the year, decent athlete. So when I started out in the world, I was probably like a 6 or a 7, And now I can aspire maybe to be a 10. I can move myself up better. Some guys are a 2 naturally, but that doesn't mean they can't move themselves up to a 6 or a 7 and become a better person through the use of martial arts.
Right.
The whole goal, that's very much an American belief in that. That's one thing I hate and I have a hard time with. Someone will say, "Hey, yeah, he won a silver medal in the Olympics." And people go, "Oh, silver?" And you think the guy's a loser. And I'm just like, are you a retard? That guy was the second best in his sport in the whole entire world. Mm-hmm. If you go to the Olympics, I bow down to you and think you should be cloned. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you just sat and got an invite as an alternate, you're a pretty bad dude. But we have this mentality that if you're not the best, you suck. I'm just like, wow.
That's true. I mean, we get it all the time, talking about guys in different sports. Oh, he's terrible. If he's in the big leagues, in any sport, I don't care what it is, he's real good. And was probably the best player in his high school by a ton. So he doesn't stink.
This guy's sitting on the bench that, you couldn't hold a candle to in athletic ability. It's like, come on, guys, he doesn't suck. I hate it when people try to put things in those kind of perspectives or, it just drills me sometimes. I remember when I first seen that was with Roy Jones Jr. And, I've always been a huge Roy Jones Jr. fan.
Mm-hmm.
I really think he's one of the greatest boxers of all time. And now people after his 2 fights, the Glenn Johnson, the Antonio Tarver, was, "Oh, he sucks. He was never any good." I'm like, what are you talking about? This is a guy who would play basketball games on a semi-pro thing and fly in the next night and go box world-class fighters. He won a heavyweight title weighing 190 pounds. Come on, guys. So he has a couple bad fights in there.
Mm-hmm. He got old. It happens.
It happens.
Yep.
Well, you can't stay at the level of our sport, of anything at a high level, and think you're going to run it. If you do, that means the other guys aren't that good. That's just. And if you look at any sport, like Larry Holmes, for example, in boxing in the 70s, in the early 80s, he when he was going on to maybe overrun Marciano's record. What's the knock on him right now? Why does he not get enough recognition as something like an Ali or a Frazier? Is because his competition at the time wasn't that good. He was very dominant. He was more dominant than Ali or Frazier were in their era.
Mm-hmm.
But because the Frazier and Ali's and had the Foreman and you had Norton and you had all these phenomenal fighters Corey in there, you had it to where no one really went undefeated because there were so many tough guys. But then you have legends that grow from that. So anytime I look at an athlete and he completely dominates with no question, the first thing that comes to mind is like, well, I guess everybody else isn't that good yet.
That public perception, though, it's weird how it works sometimes. You kind of fall into this realm. You beat Lesnar.
Right.
But that's all anybody wanted to talk about. Was, Lesnar, and, great event. Obviously sold a lot of tickets, but we kind of talked about it's like, what about the guy who beat Lesnar?
Yeah, and Lesnar, it's funny, and I think he's extremely talented, big, strong guy that's going to do very well in the sport. But, when sometimes people get real crazy, I just, they're like, oh, who's going to beat him? When they make statements like that, I go, guys, the guy was 1-1 when he got a heavyweight, he was 2-1. 1-1 in the UFC when he got a shot at the title. I submitted him in 90 seconds. And he gave me everything he had and had to take a breath and relax, and I was still standing there. Is he really going to look any different if he has to fight Nogueira or Gonzaga? There's a lot of fighters out there. And hey, you know what? It helped out my career a lot. So I tell people, oh yeah, look how big and scary he is. But then sometimes I have to, when people get too nuts, I'm like, guys, I submitted a guy who had only one professional fight. Let's put things in perspective a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Frank, in your opinion, did he improve a great deal between your fight and the fight with Randy, or? I don't think this is an unfair question. Or did Randy kind of get old?
I think Randy just got caught. Randy, Lesnar actually, I was really impressed with Randy because there was a lot of things I figured Lesnar would do extremely well that he didn't do all that well. I figured it'd be impossible to take down. Well, he grabbed the cage. That's why Randy didn't take him down. You see Randy lifts him up weighing 220 pounds, and I'm not taking anything away from Randy's takedown, but I'm sitting there going, well, here's a guy who's also an NCAA champ and has 50, 60 pounds on a guy, and he's holding the cage to keep from being taken down. And then when he does take Randy Couture down, Randy, we always said that in the past, he has a hard time getting up when a big guy gets on top of him. Well, now here's the biggest guy he's ever had on top of him, and Randy gets up twice and almost takes his back. If anything, he finally caught Randy with that punch, and Randy ducked the wrong way, and you get caught behind the ear, not intentionally, obviously. Anything could happen, but it wasn't like, Lesnar impressed me immensely. Right. If anything, I had Randy winning the fight, to be honest with you.
All right. I think part of the mix, too, though, is the fight in between, and Heath Herring's a pretty decent heavyweight.
Yeah,
and he took care of him.
Yeah, and he did. He dominated Heath, but my only knock on that is that other individuals, I think, would have been able to submit Heath at that point.
That's a good point, yeah.
Here he is. He has Heath beat. He out-wrestled Heath very well. He stayed out of Heath's striking, but did he submit Heath? Did he take his back? Really, he had the guy in danger the whole time and couldn't even punch him out and get a referee stoppage.
I just don't think he has it in his arsenal, especially the finish. I don't know if that's ever going to come. I'm not sure.
I doubt it ever will.
You don't think so?
No, it's going to be very difficult for him to get that. He started training MMA now at 29, 30 years of age. If you told most athletic experts, right now, I'm 29 years old, and I'm a pretty good athlete, If you said right now, if I told everybody, hey, I'm going to go play for the CFL, I'm going to go play linebacker, and I haven't played linebacker since I was a high school athlete, you would probably doubt my abilities to ever start. You'd be like, well, Frank, being a great athlete's one thing, but there's a lot to learn, man.
Right.
And I can't say that MMA is any less of a technical sport. There's a lot to learn. You're telling me that Brock Lesnar Jiu-Jitsu is going to catch up to such a level that he can go to a Jiu-Jitsu tournament and start submitting people? Is he going to be so good at boxing now that he can walk in the ring with a good heavyweight amateur boxer and dominate him? He's going to have the same tools he's always going to have, which is going to be bigger and stronger than everybody's going to face, hands down, and he's going to out-wrestle them. Okay, But then there's some other guys out there like a Shane Carwin. That guy, that's a big, huge, cat-like heavyweight.
Same background with more experience in MMA now.
Yeah, that's a pretty interesting matchup right there. I can't say right now, if you told me Shane Carwin and Brock Lesnar fighting each other, I'm not running to the sports book to go bet on Brock Lesnar.
You mentioned Cain Velasquez, who's got a great wrestling background. Not as big, 230 though, but getting technical.
SU, and he has been doing it. He took his career a little bit more slowly. He's been down there at the AKA learning. Trust me, if I already know who Cain Velasquez is and I'm paying attention to him, there's a reason why I'm paying attention to him. I'm already sitting there going, well, this is a guy that eventually I'm going to cross roads with because he's that talented. And he's not just a guy I'm going to run over. This guy's going to be a really good fighter. We've seen what he did to Jake O'Brien. Jake O'Brien was beating Andre Arlovski before he got mounted and punched out.